Special meeting of the City Council for April 27th, 2021 will come to order. I recognize a quorum. Please join me in a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This special meeting is being held in accordance with Governor Charlie Baker's executive order signed in March of 2020, which exempts a public body from meeting in public so long as we provide the means for our deliberations and votes to be seen by the public. That is being done on YouTube Live and on Brockton Community Access. So we will now proceed to item number 1. Madam Clerk.
Call of the meeting.
Accepted and placed on file. Item number 2.
Officers' return of notice.
Accepted and placed on file. Councilors, before item number 3, I wish to announce that I am again going to recuse myself from participating in this particular agenda item. I will be passing the gavel to our senior counselor, Councilor Ianieri, and I have a statement that I want read into the record so it is crystal clear as to why I am recusing myself and not fulfilling my duties as Counselor at Large. Madam Clerk, would you please read it?
In City Council, April 27, 2021, statement from Counselor at Large Winthrop Farwell Jr. In the matter of Ian Woods and Tarasol LLC, application for retail marijuana license. I am recusing myself from voting on this license application and will not preside during the deliberations and discussion of this matter for the following reasons. On November 14, 2020, at 6:13 p.m., a letter was forwarded to all members of the council from Mr. Ian Woods. The letter is attached, and I ask it become part of this statement and included in the minutes of this meeting. In that letter, he accused councilors of, quote-unquote, continuing discrimination, violation of my civil and federal and state constitutional rights, and your violation of your own ordinances. Mr. Woods alleged the council, quote, can continue down the road of corruption and lies, or you can embrace the truth and vote to correct some of the past injustices, unquote. Mr. Woods further alleged, quote, the Carpenter administration began this criminal enterprise by refusing to give a host community agreement to a black person, unquote. Woods continues his allegations, quote, the employees in the law department were implicit in this charade, unquote. In his letter, he alleges, quote, derelict of your sworn duty as city councilors, unquote. He alleges legislative counsel, Attorney Shannon Resnick, purposely withheld information from the council. Allegations in a public document of corruption and or misconduct by Attorney Resnick, Councilors Thompson, Nicastro, and Mendes, all licensed to practice in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, is especially appalling. In my opinion, it is one thing to apply to the City Council for a license. It is quite another to attempt to gain that license by false accusations of quote-unquote criminal enterprise or accusing members of the council of violating civil rights and possibly other laws. This is serious. The allegations by Mr. Woods should be thoroughly investigated by the Massachusetts Attorney General or the United States Attorney. Mr. Woods should be interviewed and requested to produce witnesses, documents, and evidence to substantiate his claims that city officials have violated laws or have participated in any, quote, criminal enterprise, unquote. For the reasons I cited, I will not participate in this license application review and strongly believe the only appropriate action is to request an independent investigation. Winthrop Farwell Jr., Councilor at Large.
Councilor Ianieri, it's yours.
I believe we're all set to start, so at this particular time, I'm going to ask the clerk, if she would, please call for the petition under the hearing of number 3, please.
Petition of Tarasol LLC, Ian Woods, requesting an adult use retail marijuana license located at 702 North Montello Street, Brockton, Mass. 02301.
Just to remind everybody, this is a hearing, and the hearing is for us to listen to each and every one of those that are before us this evening. It allows the applicant and they or their legal representative to say some words to us, and it allows the council as well to ask questions. This is not a public hearing. It is a hearing within our rules and regulations of how this meeting works. So at this time, state your name and address, if you would, so the clerk can record it, please.
Ian Woods, 87 East Ashland Street, Brockton, Mass.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Anything you'd like to say, Mr. Woods?
Not at the moment. Nope.
Nothing at this time? Councilors? Councilors have any? Councilor Azak?
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Woods.
How you doing?
So I'm just going to make a statement. As, you know, we heard the letter that was read a few minutes ago, but I just want to let you know that I will be supporting your petition this evening regardless of the actions that were taken beforehand. And the reason for that is I'll be supporting your application as well as all the applicants. I'm going to make it very clear. Because the applicants that are here before us this evening, as well as the ones that came before us last summer, your applications have already been through the state, through our boards, through our zoning, conservation, planning, tech review, and you've even been before the mayor for a host community agreement. So by the time you've gotten to us, I've looked at your applications. I'll be honest, questions are in all of them. Nobody's application is perfect, but at this point, I don't find a reason to reject an application. And I know when I was council president, I did my best to offer you an open, fair hearing during, when you came before us. So, you know, regardless of the actions that happened, I'm not holding that against you. I'm not taking it personal either. I think we have to look at the city of Brockton and what you as a business can do for it, and I hope that you run your business well if you are approved, if you do get this application, if your application is approved, and that you really take pride in your city, and hopefully that your actions, you go into business to do well and make money and to help support the city. So I just want to say that I'm supporting your application, and the reason for it is not personal. It has nothing to do with what was said or done or any of the accusations that were made, but just because I believe that once an applicant has gotten to this point, there's very little that I can do to say you don't deserve this application after you've been before everybody else. So with that being said, that's why I support your application. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor, what's your last name? Cardoza, please.
Councilor Cardoza.
How you doing?
Mr. Woods, thank you for being here, and thank you for not speaking, because I think you've spoken enough. And I appreciate all of your efforts. You've paved the way for many other social equity applicants to have a fair process. I apologize for how you were treated by this council. We should be ashamed of ourselves. You should not be here today. You should have your business should be open and flourishing by now. So I apologize to you, but I've learned a lot from you. I hope every other social equity applicant that gets up tonight says thank you to you, because if it wasn't for you highlighting some of the injustices and the inequalities that existed in the application process, we wouldn't be here. So you know you have my vote, you have my support. I hope that your business just booms and you show them what a black man can do in this city. Thank you, Mr. Woods. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Woods, I know you have some litigation against the city of Brockton based on the city not providing you with the license. Are you prepared to drop those litigations, or are you going to continue with those litigations?
I don't want to speak on that right now.
What? I couldn't hear you.
I wish not to speak on that right now. They could reach out to my attorney and then go from there.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor, is any, Councilor McCastro?
Thank you. Councilor Neary, I can't hear the applicant.
He hasn't said.
Yeah, you can take yours down, because you're speaking in front there. You're fine, okay? Yeah, she just couldn't hear you because,
Thank you,
yeah.
sorry.
You didn't
But
have a
it's-
beard, it was just a mask. Yeah.
What? Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Woods. Thank you for being here. I'm wondering, reviewing all of your material is, again, do you have a current community host agreement?
So, with the host community agreement,
Could you speak a little louder?
with the host community agreement,
Yes.
right now, it's expired, like the other applicants who were passed in August of 2020. So it's the same status as the other applicants you approved.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Did you say you don't have a community host agreement?
It's in the same status as the other applicants that you approved August 2020, which is expired.
Your community host agreement has expired. Did you receive a new one from the mayor's office?
Yes, it was a amended host community agreement.
Okay. And you've had it for a while?
Yes, about as long as about the same time as November 9th when we came in front of you for the
And
license the first
have you
time.
signed it?
Until that time, we've been waiting for the license. Like I said, August of 2020, you guys approved 6 applicants with expired HCAs. So I didn't know if you were going to treat me different than the other groups.
I have no interest in treating you differently from anyone. I'd just like to know about your community host agreement. You said that you have received a renewal, a new one, but you have not signed it.
Yes, an amended host agreement. Yes, we have received one. We have not signed it.
Okay, thank you. And tell me, what else do I have? Has anything changed about the representations that are in this book?
No,
No, your information hasn't changed.
no. And we would have provided anything if you requested it. There weren't any requests for any updated information.
I think it's your responsibility to give us any changes. I don't think we have to request it. So nothing has changed?
Nothing has changed.
Okay. And tell me about your location. It's on the corner of Ames and Montello?
Yes.
Okay. And are there any other businesses in that building?
No. At the moment, there are, but no. When we move in, there will not be any other businesses.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
When we move in, there will not be any other businesses.
There won't be any other businesses?
There will be
So
only
you're-
Tarasol LLC.
You're saying there is a business there now?
Yes, there is a business there now. There's 2 businesses there now.
Okay, and what are they?
A radio repair shop and a hydroponics store.
A hydroponic store. And did I see something in here that you were going to co-locate with one of those?
No,
You're not?
no.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I have for now. Thank you, Mr. Woods. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Castro. Councilor Thompson, I think that's you, right?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry.
So, Ian, why have you not signed the HCA?
Again, I just thought we would be treated as other applicants that were approved with expired HCAs.
But those other applicants were not extensions of their HCA, so do you...
None of the HCAs are extensions, they all expired.
Right, but the city did not yet negotiate and offer those other applicants new, updated HCAs. So do you intend to sign the HCA?
Yeah, well, like I said, it's an amended HCA. So the other applicants weren't sort of put at a hold to sign the
Mr.
application.
Woods, I'm just...
So I didn't understand if we were required to sign the HCA, unlike the other applicants. So are you asking me to sign the HCA? Is that the issue? Is that?
Well, I'm wondering about the completeness of the package. You mentioned those other applicants. At the time we approved, they were in negotiation for an extension of their HCA.
They were already expired.
Right.
I believe by law you can't
Exactly.
extend an
And that-
expired agreement.
Exactly. Their agreement was expired. They were in negotiations to renew those applications, their
Sign a new one.
HCA. So the circumstances different, right? They were not offered extensions of their HCA by the time they were in front of us. So you state that you were offered it, but you have not yet signed it. So I'm wondering, is there a problem with it? Do you intend to sign it? Or why have you not yet signed it?
Because it was an amended host community agreement, and your attorney's speaking to my attorney, so
I don't-
you can speak to her on that if you
I
can.
don't-
and that could be closed up.
Were you aware of I mean, you state that you know it's amended, so you're aware that it was offered to you?
So, like I said, the other applicants that were pushed through, they were pushed through with the expired host community agreements. I didn't know if you were going to treat me different, and I have to sign my host community now, before, but you approved theirs with contingencies. So do you wish not to approve me with contingencies or allow me to move forward based on that? I'm sort of confused on the question.
Ian, I'm not trying to,
Whoa.
I want to better understand the situation, all right? You keep mentioning other people and how we're unfair, and honestly, I disagree, okay? And so what I want to understand is, why have you not yet signed it? Do you have a problem with the HCA?
Because I thought we were going to go through the same formalities as the other applicants, which is why we did not sign it yet, because they were not forced to sign a host community agreement before you approved them.
Point of information,
Go ahead, Counselor.
Chairman, just offer a point of information. The applicants that were passed under expired HCAs were all passed with the stipulation that they sign or agree to a new HCA. So
Thank you.
I think that Councilor Thompson, Councilor Nicastro, and Mr. Woods are all correct. And I think that what we could do is we could pass this with the same stipulation that we passed the others on. But that's my point of information. I apologize.
Thank you. Now, who's the other gentleman that's just came to the podium? State your,
I'm
You- are you
Milton
his le-
Nasiopoulos.
you
I'm
his legal
Ian's business
counsel?
partner.
could you state your name and address so she has it for him? The clerk has it, please?
Milton Nasiopoulos. My address is 678 Torrey Street, Brockton.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Were you going to say something on his behalf, or you're all set?
Well, I was just coming up to say that we will be signing the host agreement.
Okay.
But we were going to do it based on the stipulation, like everybody else.
Right.
So it will be signed.
It needs to be done so that we can move this thing forward.
Yep.
Okay? I mean, to be truthful with you, it's, for someone who's been here long term and as a past council president, it's gone on long enough, so we need to move forward, okay? Councilors, any other questions? Councilor Castro.
Thank you. I was asked to ask some questions that were asked of all the other applicants. Wait, I'll take that off. Okay, Mr. Woods, have you reviewed the city ordinances related to marijuana business regulations?
Yes.
Speak into the microphone, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you understand the provisions of the ordinances and acknowledge that a violation of them could be grounds for suspension or revocation of any license granted by the city council?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand and acknowledge that any false or misleading statements during this application procedure could be grounds for revocation of any license?
Yes. Sorry, read that again? Sorry, could you read that question again?
Sure, I will. Do you understand and acknowledge that any false or misleading statements during this application procedure could be grounds for revocation of any license?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any public employees in the city, appointed or elected, who have a financial or other interest in your application? And for purposes of this question, other is defined as investment, potential employment, or management role.
No.
Okay. Who are the principal investors in the company? Will you please state their names?
Tarasol Group LLC, Marsan LLC, Marsan 3 LLC.
And what amounts have each invested?
$20,000 from Marsan. Tarasol has invested the host community agreement, or Tarasol Group.
I can't hear you.
Tarasol Group has the host community agreement. Marsan invested $20,000.
Okay. Percentages of total investment?
60% Tarasol Group, 40% Marsan.
Okay. Do you have an ownership agreement with other individuals? And if so, who are the participants in the agreement and their respective roles?
No,
No one else?
no one else.
Thank you. Who will be the day-to-day manager of the business?
I will.
Pardon me?
I will.
Thank you. Do you currently own any other marijuana licensed business in Massachusetts or any other state?
No,
Do you have a pending application for any other marijuana license in Massachusetts or another state?
yes.
Can you give me more information?
A pre-certification for delivery.
A recertification for delivery?
Pre-certification.
Pre-certification for delivery. Thank you. Is the business for which you seek a license to be operated more than for 1 year or longer?
Yes.
Okay. What is your short-term and long-term business plan? Do you plan to retain ownership or sell or transfer after a period of time?
Yes, I plan on retaining ownership.
I'm sorry?
Retain ownership.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you, I already asked you about the host community agreement. Do you have one in any other municipality in Massachusetts?
No.
Okay. If you have a conditional license granted by the CCC, what further requirements must you meet for a full license approval?
City council approval.
Okay, so you have a conditional license.
Yes, we have a provisional license.
Okay, and this is what's left.
Yes.
Okay. On what date would you expect to begin operations once all state and local approvals are granted?
If everything goes smooth without any more delays, I could say 3 months from now. From
When, I'm
today's date.
sorry?
3 months from now,
3 months.
if everything goes smooth with no delays.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Woods.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Neri.
Thank you, Counselor. Councilors?
If there are no more questions from the council, I move to recommend the license.
Second.
A motion at this time, Counselor, has been made and seconded.
On the motion?
On the motion, Counselor Lally?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councilor Rodriguez. Councilor, would you consider adding the stipulation?
With the stipulation that the host agreement will be signed at some point.
Thank you, Councilor.
Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded, and you
On the
also have,
motion?
with stipulation, Counselor Castro?
Thank you. Through you to Councilor Rodriguez, I'd like to place a stipulation on this, that the business has to be open and operating within 6 months of approval.
I don't think so, because we didn't do that for the other businesses.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, there's actually a licensee that's been pending for the last couple of years, so I think we have to take it from Mr. Woods saying that he thinks that he'll be on operation in 3 months and so. I think that's more than sufficient as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. So again, the motion is before us, it's been seconded, it has the stipulation that you're going to be signing the host agreement. Any other questions, Counselors? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Absolutely, yes.
Ianary?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Monahan? Nicastro?
No.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
7 in the affirmative, 1 in opposition.
At that time, the license has been granted.
Go in.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Counselor.
thank you, thank you. You all set? Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Dean. Madam Clerk, item number 4.
Petition of Commonwealth Alternative Care, Inc. of 26 Watson Street, Cambridge, Mass., requesting an adult-use retail marijuana license located at 1090 West Chestnut Street, Brockton, Mass. 02302.
Attorney Burke, I will defer to you for any...
Thank you, Mr. President, and members of the City Council. Thank you very much for allowing us to appear here today. I'm with Gary Santos, who previously made a presentation by Zoom. He is the president of Tilt Holdings, and Commonwealth Alternative Care is a wholly owned subsidiary of Tilt Holdings, and Tilt is a corporation, public corporation on the Canadian Stock Exchange, and they are an experienced operator in all forms of cannabis operation. And here in Massachusetts, I have the good fortune of having been issued a license by the CCC for medical marijuana in the city of Brockton. They hold a medical marijuana license in Taunton, along with a $25 million cultivation facility in the city of Taunton. And they also hold right now a medical marijuana license in the city of Cambridge. And what we're here for today is, again, to request a recreational license to be issued at their facility on West Chestnut Street. We made a presentation that I think was a substantial presentation to the board a few months ago. And rather than rehash all of the information provided within that, I would suggest that Mr. Santos is here, and we are ready to begin operations on the medical marijuana facility as soon as we receive our final license within a week. The building is totally built. It's been inspected by the CCC. It's been approved. It's ready for operations. We are fully staffed. We have hired individuals who are prepared to move in, and that would also work for the recreational license. So should this board see fit to grant us a recreational license, we have been given an indication recently in our many discussions with the CCC that we are reached the final stages of reaching a resolution of an old concern with prior management of the CAC. And that is being resolved to the point that we expect to have a provisional license within the next few months, which will allow us, hopefully, to apply for a final license readily with a facility that's ready to go and to begin operations and earning money for the city of Brockton. So I am happy to answer any questions, but I'd like Gary to come up again and just say hello. He is the president of the corporation, and it's his intention to make sure that this facility is run on a first-class basis. I believe that our application is exceptional, and they intend to run their business the same way. Go ahead, Gary.
Thank you. Gary Santo, 25 Washington Square North, Salem, Massachusetts. And what Attorney Burke said is actually a late-breaking update. We've been in constant contact with the Cannabis Commission as recently as this past Friday. We have been working with them throughout this year and most of last year to resolve some investigatory matters from prior management who have been removed from the company almost 2 years now. We completed the last of those about 2 or 3 months ago, and we were told, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, that the investigation was completed, that a recommendation would be forthcoming. In fact, it was supposed to come through last week. We spoke with them on Friday, and he wanted to let us know that it might actually trickle into this week, but we're expecting a resolution in the next few days. And our understanding is that resolution is going to follow a path very similar to other operators such as Acreage, where there would be some type of a letter that would be issued, a potential fine, and then we would be free to move ahead with our licenses. I think the other actions the CCC has taken since the beginning of the year are somewhat indicative of where they are leaning. They approved the doubling of our cultivation facility in Taunton, so we've now planted 8 additional rooms that were approved earlier. And then I think it was 2 weeks ago, they approved my appointment as a control person for CAC, as well as for change of control. So I would think that if we were hopelessly broken with the commission, those types of things would either have been slow-walked or just not even approved whatsoever. So I'm happy to answer any questions that I can, and any about that or any other matter.
All right, Councilor Rodriguez, and then Councilor Cardoza.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question is going to be based on questions that I'm going to ask every single applicant, and I've done that from the very beginning. You basically have said that you've hired some employees.
Right now, we are in the process of appointing a general manager. So now that we know we're moving forward, we've started activity at the site. So we've got landscaping going on, and we're in the process of appointing a GM, who then will actively go and hire from the local Brockton community.
And how many employees is that, do you know?
I know in our Brockton facility, in our Taunton facility, we have about, I think, 20 to 30. I believe that will depend. We'll probably start on the lower end when we're doing just medical only, but I think the facility would house anywhere from 30 to 40 once fully functional.
Are there any efforts from you or your organization to diversify your work pool?
Absolutely. We've just hired a new SVP of HR, and one of the things he's putting into our mission statement is that diversity and inclusion. So we are looking to do what we can to be as diverse and representative of the Brockton neighborhood as we can be.
All right, thank you, Mr. Santos. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Cardozo.
Hi, Mr. Santos.
Good evening.
So I wanted you to speak a little bit about everything that you've gone through in trying to get your license and all of the challenges that you had, just to let people know how difficult it was for you as a non-social equity applicant, and imagine how tough that is for when you do have a social equity. I appreciate the conversations that we had, although heated, but something that came out of that was your willingness to try to advocate for Mr. Ian Woods in letting this council know that there is a license available, not only for you, but for him as well. And I don't forget that. So I wanted you to speak a little bit about your challenges and sort of your privilege as someone who's not of color and how you've overcome those, and just, to let folks know how hard it is to get to where you are in this process.
Sure, happy to do that. And, I think, more than even from a racial point of view, when you look at the resources required to try to start up a business in this state in general, let alone in this particular segment, in the cannabis segment, it's not easy. We have had a lot of money, a lot of legal representation, and it's been a tough road for us to go through. Now, that said, some of the regulations, the ink is still wet on many of them. They're being interpreted as they're being enforced. So it is difficult to give a roadmap to somebody exactly, here's what you should do, how you should do it, and when you should do it. I think our prior management from 2 years ago had a few missteps. They did things that they thought was appropriate under the then enforced regulations. Those regulations were changed, which should have resulted in some changes on our part. We missed that, to be perfectly honest. And that's what put us basically in the place we've been in. The investigation's been going on for 2 years. We've done thousands of documents that we've had to supply, emails going back to 2017 before the company was even fully incorporated. Trying to go back and recreate history from 2, 3, 4 years ago, it's not been an easy task. I think the one thing that's been the most important, though, and what's helped us, frankly, is a willingness to actually put the lawyers to the side. No offense to all the attorneys in the audience, to put them aside and talk as a business directly to the commissioners, and to be willing to raise our hand and be accountable and say, you know what, we didn't get it right. We didn't try to get it right 100% of the time. We made our best efforts, and we did what we could to resolve things once we knew there was an issue. And I think since we've stepped forward to do that, there's been an engagement level every step of the way, and then following through on those things. If you say you're going to do it by Friday, do it by Friday. Or else those things could be held against you. So I think we tried to do what we can to live that every step of the way. And even when it came to this particular council and we saw there was an opportunity not to have a fight, but that there was a path forward, those are the kinds of things we have to try to do. What I do think is important for social equity, if I can jump on a soapbox for a second, I think we try to empower people, but we don't give them all the tools they need to succeed. So to Mr. Woods, whatever we can do to help you, you're going to need product, you're going to need help. Please, I'll give you my card tonight. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. There are a lot of things that are tricky to running a business in the state of Massachusetts. And if we can't get it right with millions of dollars in our pocket and lawyers and everything else, there's going to be those missteps. And we should be there to help you. It's kind of incumbent on this first wave of us who have done this to start to blaze the path for the next wave at the end of the day and build this into a real industry, not some kind of interesting experiment to see what would happen. So. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Can you speak to some of the community impact programs that you may be thinking of?
So that's one of the things that I know our new head of HR, as well as Attorney Burke, was telling me he's got a grocery list of things he'd like us to do as well. So I think we're going to take a deeper look into where we can be as impactful as possible, and not just in donating dollars. We could donate dollars, and we will donate dollars, but I think we want to do more of what we've been doing at the Brockton location, which is running those resume workshops to try to teach people how to turn an interest in cannabis into an actual career, how to go through the application process, how to fill out a resume. So we'll keep looking for opportunities like that. I don't have a list off the top of my head right now, but we do have somebody right now that is focusing on that, not just in this particular neighborhood, but in Cambridge and Taunton, and frankly throughout our entire organization. So we have an operation in Arizona, we have an operation in Pennsylvania and Ohio as well.
Thank you. There are a lot of young folks that would love to learn the industry, so if you ever need some folks, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you with that.
I will take you up on
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Anyone else? Councilor Ianieri.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. Santos, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Attorney Burke, how are you?
Doing well, thank you,
Great.
Counselor.
I do want to take a couple of moments to, commend you on, hanging tough over the last couple of years and going through what you had to go through. And I know because I was briefed on it many different times through our attorney or your attorney, my attorney too, whatever. He said someone's attorney, but anyhow, he kept me to up to the speed in regards to what was happening with you people, and I happen to know some of the people from that other end as well, which disenchanted me, to be truthful with you, when things seemed to have transpired and everyone sort of like played dummy to dummy and didn't want to own up. But anyhow, that's beside the point. That's behind you right now. I think what's most important is, as we've been saying right along, that there would be another location on West Chestnut Street to go with the first one that we have, and we have in good health, and it's a thriving business there, and he does a tremendous job, and I know he'll be welcoming you as a neighbor, and he knows that. And David does a real good work with the people that he has there. So I look for the relationship between them, both of you, to be, really great, and I can see that will be. I also took a little tour today. I had to go to the post office, so I went to the post office. I almost ran over the new loom, but I said, gee, that's not the street. But it's nice to see you doing some, the work's going on up there. With the work going on and what you're doing, I think shows me, and if any other council wants to take a ride up there and see what they're doing now, it's really, really brighten up that corner right there and make it a good corner for us. So I commend you, I congratulate you, and I hope that, and I know you will, be able to put some money back into our coffer here in the city of Brockton. That's what it's supposed to be about. Everybody that does have this type of business, that's what we're looking for. We hope everybody does fine. Some may not. It's typical of a business, you know what I mean? Some car dealers survive and some car dealers don't survive. That's how it is, and that's part of business. But anyway, I do want to say, thank you, and thank you for choosing the city of Brockton and your place in Taunton. I was there about a year and a half ago. I think I went down with the attorney and a couple other people. It was a really great tour down there to see what you're doing down there too. So take it from there. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Counselor Razak.
Just a quick comment. Good evening. Thank you for being here this evening, gentlemen. I just want to say I was disappointed that it's taken you so long to open, especially for the medicinal marijuana, but I am happy that, that you're finally moving forward and looking forward to having, your business flourish. So I just wanted to, hopefully this passes this evening, and I'm sure it will, to congratulate you. So congratulations, and the building looks beautiful. I go by it all the time. It's a nice, sleek, modern look, which looks nice from the outside. So
Thank you, Counselor.
thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there a motion to grant? I'm sorry. Counselor
Mr.
Nicastro.
President.
Okay.
I know, I need a flashing sign or something. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Burke and Mr. Santos.
Good evening, Counselor.
And I just have a few quick questions. You've had your medical marijuana license now for 4 years?
Been for the city of Brockton?
Yes, here in Brockton.
Has it been that long?
I don't recall 4 years, but I would say 3 to 4 years would be
Yeah.
the right area. Yeah?
I thought it was 2017.
Okay.
Why have you never opened for the sale of medical marijuana?
Well, we because of the administrative problems that Mr. Santos described, we have gone all the way to getting our provisional license, to going ahead and, with the assistance of the CCC, had a build-out, had an inspection, had a final inspection. We are literally waiting for somebody to sign a document that allows us to begin operations. But I believe the CCC looked at this as a package. They wanted issues resolved that were outstanding, even though the medical marijuana license was ready to go. They spent $2,700,000 on that facility. Believe me, it was their interest to get the facility up and moving as quickly as possible. In the hearing we had before the council in the last instance, I think Mr. Santos said we would be open a week after the final license was issued. and we are absolutely ready to go, but it was not through lack of effort on the part of Commonwealth Alternative Care. It was part of a bit of a administrative bureaucratic morass that we had to get ourselves extricated from. And we have done that.
So at this point, what is left to be satisfied on the medical marijuana license?
Nothing other than the issuance of a final license from the CCC. We have absolutely everything ready to go. We have an inspection. I guess it's a possibility that they would ask for another inspection, but we did receive one final inspection saying that the facility met standards, the cameras were in the right place, the security systems were appropriate, and we're ready to go. So all we need is the issuance of a final license.
Okay, and as for a provisional retail license, do you have that?
We do not, and that's part of the package that we talked about. But based on the discussions that they've received and the encouragement that they have received, we expect to have a decision on that issue in the near future, which would lead to, after a resolution, which ultimately will probably be some sort of a fine, that's consistent with some of the actions, we would immediately pay it and move forward with the approval of the provisional.
That's an important point, because what the Cannabis Control Commission did is they took the issues they saw with the adult use licenses and pulled that over into the medical licenses too, because we had a license in Cambridge similarly held up. That facility was probably one inspection behind where our Brockton facility was, so we still needed that final inspection. So when they put a stop to all of that while they were completing their investigation, that's what brought us to literally the 1 yard line in here in Brockton. Taunton was already open, and that facility has been allowed to continue to remain open and continue to function as a medical facility.
And expand.
And expand on the cultivation and manufacturing side.
I'm very pleased by your investment in the real estate in our community, but this license issue, both license issues are taking a long time. And so I'm glad you explained it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, anyone else?
Motion to grant?
Second.
Been a motion made to grant. Is there a second?
Well, with the stipulation that the host agreement will be signed as well, too, by the time it gets...
All right, motion made to approve with the condition that the host community agreements be signed. And who seconded that, please?
I did.
Councilor Ianieri. All right, if no further debate, the clerk will call the roll.
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally? Yes. Mendez?
Yes.
DeCastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
9 in the affirmative.
The license is granted.
Mr. President, we thank the council.
Thank you, Attorney Burke. Councilors, my apologies. I did not announce that Councilor Monahan had emergencies at work and could not be here this evening. So that's why you do not see him. Madam Clerk, item number 5.
Petition of Elevation, Inc., requesting an adult use retail marijuana license located at 156-160 Main Street, Brockton, Mass. 02301.
Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening to the council. May I take off my mask?
You may.
My name is Jim Valeriani. I'm with the Mensing Law Group, principal offices at 100 State Street in Boston, 02109. Representing Elevation, Inc. Elevation is a newly formed company owned by Jose Andrade and Victor Texera. Victor is a resident of Brockton. He's owned several businesses in the city. Jose owns a business in the city. He recently moved to Taunton. They're seeking this final approval at the local level, at this municipal level. This evening, the city council license. Elevation has obtained its special permit in November, its site plan approval from Planning Board in January. We do have a signed host community agreement for a 3-year term. It was signed in February by the mayor. And we do have our provisional license, which was issued in March. That took longer than we certainly desired, but the reason for that was the manner in which the city, the mayor's office had responded to the Cannabis Control Commission on our compliance with local approvals. was stated in such a way that we needed to get our site plan and special permit, which we've since gotten. The mayor has since sent a letter to the Cannabis Control Commission indicating that we are now in compliance with the local approvals from a zoning standpoint. Certainly, we still need this license here this evening. The site that they are seeking their retail license for is 156, 162 Main Street, right up the street, the Pretentious Plaza building. Built in the 1930s on the Massachusetts Historic Register. They'll be operating on the second floor, which is required in the C3 zone. 25% of retail licenses are preserved for the C3 zone, and this is, I think, the second applicant to pursue a location in the C3 zone. On the second floor, they will fit out about a third of, it's about 2,200 square feet, about a third of the second floor for their retail operation. There are a number of offices up there. I don't believe they're very much occupied. This will be a real boost to the Pretentious building and a boost to the downtown, we believe. The Pretentious building is listed on the Brockton Urban Revitalization Plan from 2016 as a candidate for rehabilitation. So perhaps a good bit of rehabilitation could take place shortly after they build out their space on the second floor. They'll have 6 to 8 employees. 2 of those will be security guards, 1 on the second floor, 1 on the first floor. There's an entrance to the building on Main, which is a long set of stairs. There's a second entrance on East Elm, across from the DA's office, and that has an elevator. That elevator will be used for handicap patrons. All marijuana facilities in the city have to be handicap accessible, so we will be utilizing that elevator from time to time. But the security guard will be right there inside that East Elm Street first floor at-grade entrance, checking IDs. Then they will either go up a set of stairs to the second floor or take the elevator. Then they will have their IDs checked again in a security booth. They'll enter. They'll probably be there for about 15 minutes and exit. We would anticipate maybe 8 or so patrons at the busiest time inside the retail establishment. 6 to 8 employees, 6 being, the serving customers and the 2 security guards. Although there's no parking on site, parking off-site is not required in the C3 zone, so employees will make use of the parking garage on Crescent or the parking lot across from City Hall, and patrons will as well, but there's plenty of on-street parking, metered parking on Main and West Elm. Let's see. So with this city council license that we're seeking this evening, once we obtain this, the company can move to construction drawings and then select a contractor, pull a building permit. In addition, and this is required of all applicants, there are post-conditions to the special permit and site plan approval, and those involve a DPH waste removal plan. That's a post-condition. It does not have to be done prior to this evening, and a final emergency response plan with the fire and police jointly. We've already obtained a review by the police department on a security plan, and they have indicated it's consistent with CCC requirements. Let's see. Other than that, I think it's a very straightforward. Our application was quite complete when we submitted it in December. The only items missing were the provisional, which we got in March, and the HCA at the time, which again was executed in February for 3 years. So I believe that's an overall summary.
Councilor Razak?
Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen. Question for you. You mentioned that the 2 owners are business owners already in the city. Can I ask what businesses they already have in the city of Brockton?
They either have had them or continue to have them. Victor, can you speak to that?
Good afternoon. Victor, 68 Harvard in Brockton. I previously owned an auto body shop. I sold that in 2019 to pursue this business. I also own an auto glass business that's going to be up for sale, and I also renovate houses at this moment now.
Okay, so they're auto repairs, auto...
Yeah, I used to own an auto body business.
Auto body?
That I sold in 2019.
2019?
Yep.
Okay, and your partner, is that the same businesses or separate businesses?
Jose Andrade, 24 North Walker Street in Taunton. I'm part owner of Bella Vista Real Estate. We're at 423 Belmont Street.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for investing in Brockton. I just have a quick question. I know that, we've granted licenses, and you mentioned that the location that you're looking at is going to need construction. Now, say for whatever reason things don't work out with construction, what are your plans? Do you have another location in Brockton? Do you have a plan B?
Yeah, we actually do have Plan B.
I hope it's not leaving the city of Brockton,
No,
so.
no, it's not.
So do you just find another location that would, in the area, in the zone? Okay.
No, we previously had a location from day one, 2018. And from the audience that you guys wrote, we kind of, we got the host agreement pretty late, so we figured going to that location, we had a chance to actually get the license. So we do have another location if anything goes wrong.
If anything goes wrong. But, does the property, I haven't been in that building in I have never been in the second floor, just the first floor. Does it need a lot of work, or is it what are you looking at? No?
No, not really.
Fine.
We're willing to spend about over 80, 90 grand in there.
Okay.
Not that much work.
Very good. So what your timeline, if everything goes as planned, when do you think you'd be open?
Well,
It's going to take 6 months.
right, right. Like you said, 6 months to get the final, but
Okay.
hopefully right after that we should be able to open.
Okay. Well, very good. I'm glad you're in downtown. I know the original plan was to get businesses downtown on the
Right.
second floor, and I think you're actually the first applicant that's in the actual zone that's come before us. So
Correct.
thank you. Thank you for investing in Brockton, and I hope all goes well for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counsel Mendez.
Yes, hi.
Hello?
So I've reviewed your application and I was looking for the financial statements. Did you guys include financial statements in the package? Because I went through a few times and I didn't see it.
Everything that they asked for should be there.
But what about the financial statements? How much funding do you guys have at this point in the
At this
bank?
point now, I'm actually going to put over $200,000 myself. My partner is going to match that. And we do have investors if we ever need it. But at this point, we're not looking at any investors.
What do you believe your startup costs are at this point?
To renovate it,
Yeah, to
I'll say
get
over 80 to 90 grand.
to get the place started in operational functions with all the costs. What do you believe?
From other dispensaries that I personally went to and talked to individuals, we're not going to spend over $150,000.
And you have enough investors at this point to be confident that you'll be able to?
Yeah, we do have private investors, yes.
Okay, because I was looking in your package and I didn't see any of the financial statements.
That's just in case we do need the funds.
Okay,
But at this point now, we don't need the funds. We're actually going to use our own personal funds to get this business operating.
okay, thank you, thank you.
Counselor Cardozo and then Counselor Rodriguez.
Hello, gentlemen.
doing?
Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. I just have a question about signage on that building. How are you have you thought about that? How are you going to be able to promote your business, given that location looks tricky as far as signage?
Yeah, that you want to
Yeah,
get.
no, we're going to, thank you, Counselor. We're going to have signage on the door on East Elm. It's going to certainly comply with the city's ordinance on sign size, dimensions, and on Main Street as well. And the Main Street sign will direct patrons over to East Elm. Up on the second floor, there may be a sign, and it has to comply with the ordinance. But those windows will be tinted, so no product is visible from.
That's really too bad. That I think the ordinance, should have allowed for a first floor in the downtown. I think it's silly, but I hope you're able to get some signs up there and promote your business, because that is it's going to be logistically hard to place signage.
Yes, and the planning board asked us to work with the owner on a remaining sign frame that sticks out right on the corner, so perhaps we can reutilize that or take that down during the work that we have to do. That was requested by the planning board.
Yep, but good luck. I'm so happy that you're coming downtown. Good luck, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Counselor Rodriguez.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Well, a portion of my question was basically answered because I was going to ask about the employees, how many positions you guys plan on creating, but you said up to 6, is that what you said?
That would be at any one time on the premises while it's operating. The total employees would probably be 12 to 18.
Okay.
And they would park in the parking garage on Crescent. But at any one time, On a slow day, perhaps 4 or 5. On a busy day, perhaps 8, plus the 2 security guards.
And you guys are going to focus on hiring Brocktonians, right? People from Brockton?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That is, I believe, in the HCA, but that was the intent.
Yeah,
Part of
'cause
our positive impact plan.
Because one of the issues we have is the fact that we are the only marijuana community in this area. So if we're the only marijuana community in this area, I want to make sure that we are also the only employees of marijuana in this area. So we want to make sure that Brocktonians are given, you know, the right to first refusal at every single one of these positions, because I know some of these other communities refuse this particular order or bill. We accepted it, but we also accepted it with the understanding that Brocktonians will be hired. So I want to make sure that we focus heavily on the manpower from Brockton.
That will be a focus, qualified residents. So long as we're in compliance with labor laws, employment laws, certainly we will focus on residents of the city.
Yeah, but I also want to just focus on something that was said a few minutes ago, because when we wrote the ordinance, and it took us a long time to get the ordinance done in the city, to a point where people were calling us all kinds of names for dragging our feet in this particular thing, it was with the intention that we were going to put 2 locations in downtown and 4 on the outskirts of the city. That has not been the case, to be honest with you. So I hope you guys can make the downtown work, but if it doesn't work, I also don't want you to be restrictive to a point where you're going to, you know, invest all that money into a business that might not succeed. So don't be afraid of kind of doing what you need to do to make sure that you do what's best for your business.
Right.
All right? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilor Castro.
Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I don't remember when I received your materials. There's a date of 12/9 on them. Has anything changed in these materials and these representations since I received them?
Just our receipt of the host community agreement signed and our provisional
And the
license.
provisional. Okay. And then I have some questions I'd like to ask, just to get the information on the record. Okay? Same questions I've asked before. Have you reviewed the city ordinances relating to marijuana business regulations?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Do you understand the provisions of the ordinances and acknowledge that a violation of them could be grounds for suspension or revocation of any license granted by the city?
Yes.
Do you understand and acknowledge that any false or misleading statements during this application process could be grounds for license revocation?
Yes.
Are there any public employees in the city, be they appointed or elected, who have a financial or other interest in your application?
No.
Who are the principal investors in the company, their names?
Victor Texera to my left and Jose Andre to my right.
Okay. And how much have you each invested?
Well, to date, they've invested enough to get through the CCC.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Today, they've invested, as of today, invested enough to handle their CCC applications and everything that goes into that, as well as the land use permitting that we've undertaken. And then once we get this license, there'll be an additional round of capital that they interject into the company for the construction drawings and the build-out.
Okay. Have you got a dollar figure?
Well, Victor had indicated it might be about $100,000 for the renovation.
Right.
Perhaps another $20,000 in soft costs.
Okay. And what about what you spent so far?
Yeah, let me answer that. Well, so far, me and Jose spent about $75,000 going through this process.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Andrade. What are the percentages of total investment?
What's that again?
What are the percentages of total investment?
It's all the 100% of it.
50/50?
What's about 50/50, I'm sorry.
50/50. Okay, thank you. Do you have an ownership agreement with other individuals, and if so, who are the participants in the agreement and their respective roles?
No, we don't.
No owner agreement. Who will be the day-to-day business manager?
We both are.
Okay, so you're going to share that
Right.
role. Okay. Do you currently own any other marijuana licensed business in Massachusetts or another state?
No.
Okay. Do you have a pending application for any other marijuana license in Massachusetts or another state?
No.
Is the business for which you seek this license to be operated for more than 1 year or longer?
Longer.
Longer. Thank you. What is your short-term and long-term business plan? Do you plan to retain ownership or to sell or transfer after a period of time?
No, we plan to retain it.
Okay. And you do have a host community agreement?
Yes.
Do you have one in any other community in the state?
No.
Okay. What further requirements must you meet for full license approval?
Well, we need to, again, touch base with Public Health, Police and Fire for those post-condition reviews. We need a building permit from the building department. We'll need a certificate of use and occupancy from building once we complete construction, and we'll need a final inspection by the Cannabis Control Commission, which is the final step.
Okay, thank you. And finally, on what date do you expect to begin operations once all state and local approvals are granted?
Towards the end of the year, would you say?
I'd say so,
Yeah, about 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, about.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Anyone else? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, with Councilor Rodriguez, or Councilor Azak with the same,
With the same stipulations as the previous applicants.
Well, Mr.
they have a host
already have a
community
host
agreement,
agreement, yes.
so, but just
So
to
I
be
remove that
consistent.
stipulation.
All right, no further debate. The clerk will call the roll.
Azak?
Yes.
Cardoza?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
DeCastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
9 in the affirmative.
Thank you.
License is granted.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
Good
gentlemen.
luck, guys.
Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
I'm the only one that claps.
Cheerleader?
Yes, I love it.
Item number 6, Madam Clerk.
Petition of Leaf Relief, Inc., requesting an adult-use retail marijuana license located at 165 Westgate Drive, Brockton, Mass. 02302.
Well, a familiar face, welcome. Please proceed.
Good evening, Scott Rubin, Silverstein and Creedon, on behalf of Leaf Relief, Inc. Nice to be here before you again on this specific petition for our local retail license tonight. I'm sure you're familiar with this location. It's 165 Westgate Drive, which is up at the Westgate Mall. This odyssey for this applicant started back in October of 2018, so this is one of the original companies that received host community agreement. They did receive and signed their renewed application last November of 2020, so that should be in your packet. We filed and completed the applications for the CCC in December of 2020 and received a provisional license recently in April of 2021. So I know one of the questions that's coming is, does anything changed? So we did provide a supplement both to the planning board site plan review and the provisional license that was issued. Site plan review was approved in January of 2021. The zoning board review went back to June of 2019, so that was done quite some time ago. The location, I think, is really quite suitable for this license. It has been vetted by the CCC, again, having received the provisional license recently, as recently as April of 2021. It is available, accessible by bus and by car. They should be able to attract a different mix of retail customers up at the mall, since there's such a variety of retail locations now at the mall, going from a car wash to Aldi's to Market Basket to the new stores inside the mall. Xfinity is there. So there's quite a bit, as well as the restaurants and Chick-fil-A. So there's certainly activity up at the mall, really from as early as 8 o'clock in the morning, when this applicant expects to be open, through 8 o'clock at night. So we certainly think for this specific location, it will draw quite a variety of customers that is consistent with the city of Brockton. They expect to be, assuming that they are approved tonight, none of the conditions on the zoning board or the planning board were really anything different than they would issue for any other application. There's really no specific conditions on this other than completing the build-out. As you may be familiar, this particular area is sort of in a strip plaza on the outskirts of the mall as you pass Lowe's on the right-hand side. So it's really just a plain vanilla box at this point and can be fit up, I think, fairly quickly once we can get our building permit application in if we were successful tonight. Eric Holstein is here tonight. He is one of the principals. He has an extensive background in the food service industry as a consultant and both an owner and operator. His partner, Mr. Ackle, who's not here tonight, also has extensive experience in owning and operating high-volume restaurants actually throughout the country, but a lot of it in the Northeast. And so I think the two of them at this point have a good team. They understand compliance. Obviously, in the food industry, we have specific requirements for food handling and sanitation, so they're very aware of compliant issues. And so I think as responsible business owners already, highly successful, they will be good partners in this city for this location. And really with that, I would take any questions that you have.
Questions, Councilor Azak?
Not so much a question, but just a comment. This is Ward 7, so I've been following this from day one. We did have a community meeting, and it was a long time ago.
Yes. Yes.
But I just, so I welcome, I haven't met Mr. Holston, but welcome to Council Chambers. And so I'm familiar with the location. It's
Sure.
the one that's closest to the Lowe's.
Yes.
And it's in the Strip Plaza. It's not inside Westgate Mall, so it's, it's kind of its own, a little separate from the mall, which is really great. And I haven't really received, any calls or concerns or anything. So, and this has been going on for a while now, that the application, or that there's been talk of the business going in there. So I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to welcome you and wish you well. So I'll leave that, any questions to my colleagues.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Cardozo?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Are you Mr. Ackle from Brockton?
No, I'm Eric Holstein.
This is Eric Holstein.
Oh, okay. So any of the owners from Brockton?
No.
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 Are you familiar with Brockton and the demographics?
Yeah, so, actually one of the reasons I met my partner Anthony is because we were looking at Brockton as just an amazing city, and we used the use case of several diners and how vibrant it is, and really a lot of the business we've done over the last couple of years was because of the stories that we heard in Brockton.
Okay. And some thoughts on giving back to the community? Any community impact projects you're thinking of?
Absolutely. So we have a full diversity plan that's in there, and an impact study as well of the programs that we'll do.
Okay, and I appreciate Councilor Azak has been involved. I was just wondering about the surrounding businesses, if you've had any, feedback from them. Are they okay with the?
Yeah, we haven't, not aware of
Yeah,
any.
there's been nothing that we've seen, nothing, we've heard no responses or nothing negative about what we're going in.
Okay, thank you very much and welcome to Brockton.
Through you, Mr. President.
Yes, Councilor, go ahead.
So just a comment. So I know Councilor Cardoso asked about if you were from Brockton, but the Ackle family has roots in Brockton. I'm not sure about if Anthony's here, but the Ackle family has long history in the city of Brockton. So they do have ties to the city. I'm not sure, not directly, but they are Brockton people.
I appreciate that.
And Mr. Ackle is a world-renowned, award-winning entrepreneur, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
he has he's much more notable than me. So.
He's
But
very well.
He started a company, Be Good, which is in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that, Councilor.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Rodriguez?
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask the same questions that I asked everybody in terms of jobs and pulling for Brocktonians. So give me an idea how many positions you're looking to create with this, and in the effort that it'll make sure that there are people that actually have the letter B next to their name?
Absolutely. So our assumption is like around 12 to 14, somewhere around that range, once we're fully staffed. And we will 100% be looking at Brockton as, operating restaurants right now. I will say we're looking at anyone because it's a very interesting time in the world, but 100% we'll be starting with Brockton, trying to hire locally.
Well, thank you, and welcome to Brockton.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Anything else? Is there a motion?
Councilor Nacastro.
I know, last but not least. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I've been asking, I was delegated these questions to ask this evening, okay?
No problem.
Have you reviewed the city ordinances relating to marijuana business regulations?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand the provisions of the ordinances and acknowledge that a violation of them could be grounds for suspension or revocation of your license?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand and acknowledge that any false or misleading statements during this application process could be grounds for license revocation?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any public employees in the city, be they appointed or elected, who have a financial or other interest in your application?
No.
No? Okay. Say that out loud for the...
No.
Thank you. Who are the principal investors in the company, the names?
Myself, Eric Holstein, Anthony Ackle, and then John J.
Okay, anybody else?
That is it.
Okay, and the amounts invested?
At this, currently, or?
So far.
So far, we've probably invested around $50,000, which
50?
is legal fees. And
And what do you think it will be in the end?
our assumption with build out is probably around 400 to 500,000.
Sure. Okay.
It's not
And the-
getting any cheaper.
Right, it's the truth.
And construction
Percentages of
costs are
total
going...
investment between the two of you?
The assumption is around $500,000.
But the percentages, is
Oh,
that?
percentages.
So the split is myself is 30%, Anthony is 20%, and John J. is 50%.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have an ownership agreement with other individuals? And if so, who are the participants in the agreement and their roles?
We do not.
No?
No.
No.
Okay. Trusting souls. Who will be the day-to-day manager of the business?
We're currently looking to hire one. We'll be day to day, but again, I will be available and or be there to answer any issues or complaints or anything like that.
Okay. Do you currently own any other marijuana licensed businesses in this state or another?
No.
Okay. Do you have a pending application for any other marijuana license in this state or another?
No.
Okay. Is the business for which you seek a license this evening to be operated for more than 1 year or longer?
Yeah, we're supposed to operate for long term.
Yes, you're sticking around?
Yeah, that's the hope.
What is your short-term and long-term business plan?
Right now, we're looking to operate it long term. That's the only thing we're
Okay.
looking for.
Short term, are you looking just for when they might be operational?
No, it would be
Yeah.
how long you're planning to stay?
Yes.
Okay.
They're all in.
And you have a current host community agreement?
Yes.
Okay. And if you have a conditional license granted by the CCC, what further requirements must you meet for full license?
Yeah, there are no the standard provisional license requirements, conditions, which would be to complete our final licensure, get the build out, finish the final inspections, and there's nothing specific other than what every other applicant has to
Okay.
get final licensure.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Rubin. And on what date would you expect to begin operations once all state and local approvals are obtained?
That's a September, maybe October timeline, depending on construction schedule and availability of materials and supplies. That would be our guess.
So in the neighborhood of 6 months or so?
Yeah, it's 5 to 6 months if,
Okay.
if we
And
can
I
hit the ground
received
running.
the documents that were emailed to me today, and I've reviewed them. And other than those, it looks like the bulk of the information I have is dated December. Have there been any changes?
No.
No.
No. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion is made and properly seconded to approve. If there's no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
That's what I'm saying. Oh, sorry, yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Barwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
DeCastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
9 in the affirmative.
Thank you very
License
much.
is rented. Thank you, gentlemen.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 7.
Petition of Atlantic Medicinal Partners, Inc., requesting an adult
Oh,
use
I didn't clap.
retail marijuana license located at 4 Main Street, Brockton, Mass. 02301.
Welcome, gentlemen. Whoever wants to start first, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President, councilors. My name is Brandon Kurtzman. I'm an attorney at Vicente Cedarburg, and I'm here on behalf of Atlantic Medicinal Partners, Inc. in connection with their marijuana license application. This is, of course, for the retail or adult use marijuana establishment at 4 Main Street in the C3 district. Just to kind of give a little bit of background about the applicant, so AMP is a veteran of the marijuana industry in Massachusetts. Right now, they have a operational adult use cultivation, manufacturing, and retail facility and medical facility currently in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. They hold a provisional license for a adult use retailer in Salem, Massachusetts, and they have a provisional license for a retail at the Brockton location. So the Fitchburg location is a 50,000 square foot facility that incorporates cultivation, manufacturing, and retail on both the adult use and medical side. It's been operational for roughly 9 months with no regulatory violations. So business is good and operations have been going really well. They are looking forward to shortly beginning the build-out of the Salem facility, and likewise expect to be ready to build out the Brockton facility as well, pending the council's approval tonight. A little bit about the facility. It's in the C3 district at 4 Main Street. This facility has gone through all of the approvals, site plan approval with the planning board, special permit approval with the ZBA, with no issues. We have provided some. If I can have my. So
I apologize, we don't have an easel for you. I did not know
worries.
you.
This is an elevation of the facility. As you can see, so the address is 4 Main Street. It's important to realize that the entrance to this facility is actually on Court Street, so it's off of the Main Street entrance. You can see here we have.
You can step forward a little bit if you want.
Sure,
Ken,
sure.
So that,
Thank you. So you can see here, this is the floor plan of the layout of the facility. You have the main entrance here on Court Street. The dispensary occurs here. All of the back end it will occur, back here. This is where the dispensing will come, and then you have obviously your separate exit here. There's a sally port. I mean, these facilities, and then you can just walk that around. These are all the same drawings that you guys have in your packets already and that have already been approved. We just wanted to, blow them up and do a little razzle-dazzle, I suppose, here. We have...
oh, come on in, yeah.
This is the site plan. The facility's here, obviously, Main Street right here. The main entrance is over here. We don't plan to make any major structural. There's going to be no structural changes to this facility. It's going to be a retrofit. The interior is going to look very similar to what our Fitchburg operation looks like. I wish I had pictures, but I implore you to look at our social media and you can see some of the interior pictures. It's a clean interior, modern, sleek. It looks great, and we intend to copy that same design for the Brockton location. The only change to the site is we're going to have 12 dedicated spots for our customers, which we, based on our traffic study, feel will be adequate even at peak times. So that really, I think, covers the overview. I mean, obviously, it's not within 500 feet of a school. It's near the bus stop on Court Street for public transportation. It's 700 feet from the commuter rail for other access to public transportation. You know, we are a compliant operator already, so obviously this location, and it's going to have, we're going to hold ourselves to the same standards that we do for all of our other locations, and what's asked of everybody else at the state level. Nobody under 21 is going to have access to the facility. Multiple ID checks, you know, before they come in, at the point of sale. You know, I think that that's, you know, more or less the overview. I mean, given that we have not only a provisional license for this location, but the next step at the state process, which is the ARC review approval, we're ready to break ground, essentially, pending a building permit from the city. So we have the funds, and we're ready to move forward on this project. So with that, you know, we would respectfully request, you know, approval from the council and open it up to questions from anybody.
Councilor Azak?
Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for being here this evening, and thank you for the plans. I'm very familiar with your building. It's the old Cablevision, and yes, it took me a while to figure out that the entrance is from the Court Street side. So you're going on the second floor, correct? Or is it the first, when you first walk in?
It's like it's the sub-ground basement level is what we...
That's fine. I just knew that, I think there is it is a multi-level building, correct?
It is. Okay. And so you would, if you were to come in from Main Street, which you won't, you would walk down and then walk out the hallway, come out, and then enter through the Court Street entrance.
So will you be the only occupant in that building? Because I know if I remember it correctly, it's a lot of offices. There's a lot of separate offices.
There's a few offices that will remain upstairs, but in terms of the subground, the level that we'll be occupying, we will be the only tenants.
The only ones? Okay. So I'm just going to ask a couple of questions. What made you choose this location? And the reason I ask that is everybody who's from Brockton knows that whole area is, we have a homeless shelter not too far from there. I know our local cable station's right across the street on the other side of Court Street, and, you know, we constantly get complaints of, you know, there's drug paraphernalia, there's a homeless issue there. How will you be dealing with that? I'm happy to see you go into this location. I just want you to know what you're, you know, if you're not from Brockton, you familiar with the area.
Hi, I'm Frank Siri, 58 Old Vids Lane, North Andover, Mass. We are familiar with the area. We chose this location for the physical building, and it fit within the zone in Brockton. We looked at a number of locations in Brockton, and we loved that it was on Main Street. We loved that we'd have our own entrance on the bottom floor. It was easy for security. So this was our first choice of locations.
I think that's great. You know, like I said, I just, you know, I don't want that to discourage you, so I want you to be prepared to be able to see how you're going to deal with that in the future, because you know, hopefully it'll help clean up that area. But thank you for investing in Brockton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, councilors, I just asked our legislative counsel, we have a prohibition about being on the ground floor but not the sub-ground floor. So they are in perfect compliance with respect to the zoning in a C3 for this operation, and I just wanted that entered into the record. Anyone else? Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask you the same questions that I asked the previous applicants. You know, you're not from Brockton, but you are coming into our city, and it's our hope that you basically do the same thing that the other applicants were doing in terms of hiring people from Brockton. And how many people are you looking to employ?
We'll be hiring between 15 and 20 employees, and we will give Brockton residents preferential treatment.
Also, looking at your building, basically, where do you foresee the signage? Because I think you probably discussed this at the site review, but where do you see the signage going into your building to basically advertise?
So we anticipate, and obviously the signage has to go through approval. There will at least be wayfaring and the name of the facility on the Court Street entrance. On the Main Street entrance, I guess it would be, to be determined whether there can be some wayfaring signage on the Main Street side, given that the Court Street is the entrance. We might want to put something that indicates that the main entrance is actually on the Court Street side, not on the Main Street side.
What about on the, I'm just saying, because when you say Court Street, you're looking at the parking lot of Court Street, but what about on the side of Court Street itself?
So, I mean, as the plans indicate right here, the signage would be
right there,
near the front of the facility. It will be to be determined whether additional signage would be along the building to lead folks to the entrance as necessary, just to make sure that everybody knows that even though the address is on Main Street, we want to make sure that it's clear that to access you need to go through essentially the parking lot to the Court Street entrance.
Thank you. Well, I want to echo the same sentiments that Councilor Azak brought up, but not for the same reasons, because I think that you could be quite successful in that area. So that's I know we have our problems in Brockton, like every single major city does. I've been mayor in this city, and the homeless people that we actually deal with on a regular basis in this community are not people from Brockton. The vast majority of the people that we find ODing or suffering from the issues of overdose are not folks from Brockton. They're people that come from the outside of the community into our community, because this is where the services are. So we need to be a little more of cheerleaders to try to promote the daylight side of our city. But I'm glad she brought that up, that we want to make sure that you're successful in the area that you are, and whatever we can do to help you out, you let us know. We'll go for it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Mendez.
Yes, hi. I have a question because your application has something very different that the others didn't have, which is the MCAS test scores, and that was like several pages. And then it also has a statement that in response to RFI, request for information received from CCC on August 2019. Do you want to just elaborate on that further? Is that just to prove that the location is not near a school or something in regards to that? That was just different. Your package was the only one that had that.
And could you just repeat the question? I believe I understand what you're asking.
Yeah. Regarding all the MCAS test scores, you have several pages.
So what I believe you're looking at was a printout from the I think it's the state's school commission or something along those lines, which indicates the registered schools within the proximity to the facility. So I believe that information was provided to clarify that we are not within 500 feet of a school. So the scores that are a part of that report don't necessarily have anything to do with us. It's just part of the showing that we are not within the 500 feet of a school, I believe, is what the issue is.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Councilor Nicastro, before I don't see you.
Okay. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Asking these questions has been delegated to me, so get ready. So the first one is, I've had the materials since January. Have there been any changes?
No.
Thank you. Okay, onward. Have you reviewed the city ordinances relating to marijuana business regulations?
Yes.
Good. Do you understand the provisions of the ordinances and acknowledge that a violation could be grounds for suspension or revocation of any license granted?
Yes.
Great. Do you understand and acknowledge that any false or misleading statements during this application process could be grounds for revocation?
Yes.
Good. Are there any public employees of the city, appointed or elected, who have financial or other interest in your application?
No.
Who are the principal investors in the company? Their names, please.
So the three main investors are Frank Siri, myself, Steve Perkins, and Jeff Perkins, and we have a group of investors that own about 20% of the business, but the three of us own 80%.
Okay. And who are the people who own the rest of it, the 20%?
Do you want all the names?
Yeah.
Michael Sullivan, Peter Coco, Michelle Lawler, Chris Reddy, Victoria Waters.
These are Stephen Perkins,
They're all-
49
they're
Timber
family and
Creek Road,
friends.
Billerica.
Okay.
They're all Massachusetts-based minority 1 or 2% shareholders.
Okay, very good.
Friends.
And what are the amounts that are invested?
We have total investment of about $15 million up to this point.
15 million.
Yes.
Nice friends to have.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have an ownership agreement among the individuals?
Yes.
Great. I figured you would.
Yes.
Who will be the day-to-day manager of the business?
We have three. It's Jeff, it's Steve Perkins, Jeff Perkins, and Elizabeth Siri, my daughter.
Okay. Do you currently own any other marijuana licensed business in Massachusetts or another state? You said you did.
We do. We are fully functional in Fitchburg, where we're cultivating and processing. We also have medical and recreational in Fitchburg. We also will be opening in Salem, Mass. We have all the licenses in Salem. We have the building permit. We'll begin construction shortly.
Okay, and what about another state?
No other states.
Okay. Do you have a pending application for any other license in Massachusetts or another state?
No.
Okay.
Or just the pending applications
Just-
dealing with
Sure,
those
this one.
outstanding licenses, yes.
Okay. Is the business for which you seek a license this evening to be operated for more than 1 year or longer?
Absolutely.
That's a yes.
Much longer than a year.
Great. What is your short-term and long-term business plan?
Short-term plan is to open, long-term plan is to have a functional business, a long-term
Prosper.
business.
Sure.
Long-term.
Okay. And you have a host community agreement, you said that.
We have to sign the new one. We had one. We need a new one to sign, but
You
we
need a new one.
absolutely will sign the new host agreement.
Okay, so you'll be subject to. Do
Subject
you
to
have a host community agreement in any other community in the state?
Absolutely, yes.
The state
all-
requirement.
Yes,
So
in all the-
yes,
in all the places-
Fitchburg, Salem, and Salem, we have host community agreements for our operations.
Okay, and you'll be signing one with us?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you, if you have a conditional license granted by the CCC, what further requirements have to be satisfied?
So once the build-out occurs, we'll request the PPLI, which is the post-provisional license inspection, just to ensure that we're essentially ready for operations. After the post-provisional license inspection, you will be awarded a final license by the commission. Then you have to go through and request your post-final license. We request the post-final license, and then after that's awarded, we'll be able to commence operations, and we can open 3 days later.
Okay. And finally, on what date do you expect to begin operations once all state and local approvals are obtained?
Once we get all of the approvals, we'll open immediately.
Okay, so you think about 6 months?
I think so,
We'd
yeah.
like to be less than 6 months, but as fast as we can do it with the state and with the city.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Councilor Razak?
Thank you, Mr. President. So before I make a motion to approve, I want to comment. I didn't mean that as a negative comment. I'm very happy that you're coming into our downtown. And it's just, I want you to know, just not being from Brockton, just want you to know, to be prepared to how you're going to deal with certain issues that may come up. But I don't see it as a negative. I love this city and I love everything that goes with it. And it's not as a negative. It's just, I feel like we want to help you succeed. So if I want you to be successful, and I thought your application was very well done. We looked at a lot of applications, so I was very impressed, and I heard a lot of good things about your company. So we want you to be successful. So with that, I make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Motion made to
With
approve.
stipulation?
Is there a
What
second?
stipulation?
They have their,
Second.
No,
they don't.
With stipulation, we'll sign the new one. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. If there's no further discussion, would the clerk please call the roll?
Azak?
Yes.
Cardozo?
Yes.
Ianieri?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
DeCastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
9 in the affirmative.
License is granted.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Council.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
There we
Look
go.
forward to being part of Brockton. Thank you.
Councilors, I'd like to thank all of you for being well-prepared tonight, focusing in on relevant questions, which I think are important for the public to see, and hopefully all 5 people will be successful, because it does mean revenue for Brockton, and we need revenue. So, if there's nothing further, meeting adjourned.